Yeah. Like I say on all my shit, man. Nick. Yeah. Hey. Yeah, in the middle of the summer, bitch, I'm cold as ice. Slow it down, tell me, Jay, take your own advice. Bitch, I'm done being nice, say hello to the bad guy, the motherfucking villain. Last thing I'm about to be worried about is feeling, bitch, fuck those. I'm talking about how I have myself knows. Bitch, I go way harder than a stub toe. Them snakes in the grass won't trust those. They say, Tommy, why you always look like you ready to fight, cause like I'm raised a monster. All of this anger you see is a danger to me, so it's strange, but I live my life dangerously. I wonder what karma got waiting for me. I guess that we all have to wait. Change is the thing that we hate to receive, but life has its own way to make you believe. Don't make too much sense to talk about the swag. Some things speak for themselves. Hi, Irving. Hi, C. Beasley. So because it's a live, my normal intro isn't playing, so I'm playing the actual song. This is my cousin's song, Time and Jay. The link is in the other videos. It's not in this one. Hi, Deanna. Hi. Repping the community outreach program. Is there any interference or can y'all hear me good? Because in the last video there was like a buzzing and I didn't realize it until it was over. Do y'all hear buzzing or anything? Or any feedback? Anything weird? Apprehension ain't in the question. Watch what you say, boy, and count your blessings. Somebody put me in the right direction, because I tell you now with the way I'm headed. Y'all don't hear nothing weird, right? But nowadays I'm feeling followed. My mind is so hollow, I swallow the last bottle, drop out of my Henny bottle. Fuck bitches, get money, that's been a motto. Get green, get some of that's all that I Sorry, I really like this song. We're gonna give people like a few more seconds to get in before I start. Share this video if you're not like practicing in secret or nothing like that, and you can share stuff. Go on ahead and share this. Hello, Miss Johnson. That's my last name too for now. That was my dad's last name. That is legally my last name right now. I'm glad to have my daddy's name back. Even if it's just temporary. I'm glad to have it back. So where are y'all, the people that are in here, there's a few people in here. Where are y'all from? I know where you're from, Omojole. Where is everybody else from? Y'all know I like to talk during my lives. I don't like my lives to be all quiet and stuff. I like y'all to talk to me. Don't believe everything that you hear on the news. Make sure you stay on your ones and twos. Courage for the weak. Courage for the few. Philly. Okay, Philly. Yeah. I've lived in Pennsylvania, but I never actually went to Philly. Hotep. Where is that? Like specifically? Oh, there's 2 Phillies in here. Okay. Y'all dangerous. Mississippi. MISSISSIPPI. Am I crooked letter I? Niggas is funny. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, home of David Banner. David Banner. All right. Let me pull up my notes here. I wrote a lot of notes about this class because I wanted to be precise. So I did write. I don't want to say your name wrong, Miss Hempill. I'm gonna just say Miss Hempill because I don't want to say your name wrong. But I'm a whole fool on here. If you've never been in any of my classes, I'm a whole clown. Okay, just
Just so we're clear. Everybody else tell you that, especially the people who've had the the pleasure of meeting me and at like ceremonies and stuff. Child, I'm a whole clown. I'm gonna try not to cuss y'all out today. How about that? I was told that I was gonna read people for filth day, and I said no, I'm gonna chill. And I get the feeling that that's not what's gonna happen. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what y'all say in the comments. So again, if you can share this, share it. If you can't, that is also okay. I understand. But I would appreciate it if you shared. So, and good comments are actually going to go on the screen. I am a big fan of good comments. Thank you, Miss Hemphill. I try to be fun. I don't try to be mean. Just it come out sometimes. Blame it on my nail chart. And we do have somebody who is in the back room. They're in the green room, if you will. If anybody wants to be in the green room, because you want to hop on later at some point, let me know. Because there is a green room and there is somebody already in there. So if y'all want to hop on the live, let me know. But we're going to wait for a little bit. I'm going to say the things I got to say, and then we'll open up the green room. So as a matter of fact, let me just post the link. I'm going to just post it in the comments. Okay? I'm going to post this link in the comments because everybody's watching this on YouTube. So if you want to come to the back, come to the green room, there is the link to come into the green room. Do that first because you got some stuff, a little bit of setup to do if you want to come into the green room. We should call it the white room because I'm still wearing all white. I'm not going to talk about that today. So anyway, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am Omowawari Ogbonyomi. Yes, it's a mouthful. But I am a goddaughter of Priestess Oshunfunke Iyanifa. And hi, Brittany. I am a staff member at the Orisha Hoodoo Institute, staff member at Black Spectrum Network, and the Voodoo Institute. I'll be doing a lot. But yeah, so there is a link at the bottom in this description of this video. If you click on that link, it will take you to some other stuff. It will take you to the Orisha Hoodoo Coven on Facebook if you are not already in there. It will take you to our community outreach. Well, it'll take you to our Discord, which is where we have our mentorship and our community outreach program. We have a plant medicine ceremony coming up soon, 2 weeks from now, actually, 2 weeks from today. So there is a lot going on if you want to participate in that. But so yeah, so much stuff. And there's other stuff in there too. So click the link once you're done watching this. Click the link, go find all the fun stuff. And then if you have any questions outside of this, you can actually, there's a contact button down there. You can just hit that button, send me a message, and I will answer you. Or my name is Omowawari everywhere. So if you just type that in to IG or Facebook, you'll find me on there. My business page is Enchanted Vibes, Spiritual Readings and Wellness. Yes, the whole thing. But if you click that link, it'll take you to all my business social media too. So many things. Click the link, but later. Watch this first. Anyway, so today we are going to be talking about the Priestess Movement and the awakening of our people, the differences between a priest or priestess as one unit. I'm going to say mostly priestess because I'm a female. Our coven is mostly females. Black Spectrum Network is like 95% female. So I'm going to say priestess, but if you are a man, please don't be offended. Charge it to my mouth and not my heart, I guess. But the difference between a priestess, a practitioner, and a witch, and how we can start to heal our communities, but not necessarily in that order. There's a lot of overlap here. And like I said, if you're a man or a non-binary person, please don't be upset because I say the word priestess. I'm just using the word because it's easy and I don't want to say both because blah, 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 blah. That's what I feel like I'll be doing. The message is the message. You'll be okay. Anyway, so first we're going to start with some definitions. These aren't the only definitions, obviously, but I'm just going to use some basic explanations so that everyone is kind of can separate the difference between a practitioner, a priestess, and a witch. Okay, so let's start with practitioner. The soft open, right? A practitioner is a person actively engaged in an art, discipline, or profession. One who practices. Go figure, right? Someone whose regular work involves a lot of training. When people ask me about my beliefs, I say I am a practitioner of African spirituality, because to say just one thing is incorrect, because I'm not only practicing or trying to practice Ifa. I am not only doing hoodoo. I am not only doing voodoo. I do all three. I'm training in all three at the same time cohesively. So to say that I practice hoodoo would be incorrect, because that's not actually the truth. You know what I'm saying? So one who practices, someone whose regular work involves a lot of training. That's another one. Like I said, I typically don't specify more than that. More than I practice African spirituality, unless like really asked about somebody that I trust to understand the answer, because you can't tell everybody everything because they just don't understand. Half the time people just think I'm a witch. And go ahead, think that if you want. I really don't care at this point. And you'll find out why. But I do work daily. So between prayers, meditation, working with herbs, readings for myself and other people, working with colors, working with my spiritual tools like tarot and cowries and crystals. I have a pendulum, which I'm not wearing because I'm wearing my aleke, but this is my pendulum, which has a special purpose. So if you know, you know. And then I am in mentorship. I have a wonderful godmother, Jesus. Again, that's a priestess. Reverend Priestess Oshun Funke Iyanifa, an initiated Iyanifa. Let's put a stamp on that. But she's absolutely fantastic. So I'm part of a huge network of dozens of initiated African Americans whose goal is to help those in the diaspora get back to who we were before colonization, deconstruction, and the demonization of our ancestors. Big on that last part. So, and I'm going to say this because some of you kind of need to hear this. If you are not venerating your ancestors and you are not using African spiritual practices, if you are not venerating your ancestors and you are using African spiritual practices as your guide, then you are appropriating. You are not practicing, you are appropriating. This is an ancestral practice. If you aren't using your ancestors, what are you doing? Are you really practicing? Honestly, if you are taking the concepts you learn, but then doing whatever you want with no mentor and no input from your ancestors, how is that not appropriation? I don't see anybody in the comments arguing, so that's good. Love to see that. So moving on. If you are studying Wicca and training, that is still a practitioner. So because that is also a practice, you must be doing something regularly to develop your power. Yoga, too, is a practice. You must learn and repeat the movements in order for them to have the proper effect. With a religion, there isn't really a daily requirement outside of prayer and being a good character. But those are some very loose requirements, since people seem to think that asking for forgiveness and declaring Jesus as your savior is enough to make up for all the harm you do in other parts of your life. That's another class. especially as it regards to children. But again, another class. You can be illiterate and still be a Christian. So reading the Bible isn't really a requirement of that either. A practice is a true lifestyle change. So I can't call myself a yogi if I am only doing yoga on Saturday mornings when I teach Saturday morning group. That's not me being in the practice, because I'm not doing it all the time. I'm not growing because I'm simply doing it just so that I can be part of a group, if that made sense. That's not a practitioner, because I am not practicing, if that makes sense. So now we're going to talk about the good one. What is a witch? So before I get into what a witch is, and over the course of the last few weeks when I've been really diving into this, I have changed my perceptions of what a witch is. But before I get into that, I want to know what y'all think a witch is. Comments. What do y'all think a witch is? Christy said this is her first time here. Welcome, Christy. I'm starting off nice. Let's see what happens. Nobody wants to say what they think a witch is? Y'all just want my definition, huh? Y'all don't even want to try. Okay, that's fine. All right. If something pops up, I'll read it. But so, oh wait, enlightened one. Okay. Enlightened one. That's a good one. There's nothing wrong with that definition. I like that. Anybody else? Thank you, Christy. I'm so glad you're here. Anybody else? Okay. Ms. Hemphill, I'm gonna go with you. Enlightened one. That is accurate. So, witch is a European word, but Black people can still be witches, because everything you're going to hear from me today almost is a European word. So the fact that it's a European word doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to Black people. Let me start there. We have this weird thing in our minds that just because we say something a certain way or we use a certain word, that it doesn't apply to other people. But that's just what language is. Someone said, someone of European descent who practices occult information. That is also a good one. I like that too. So it is a European word, but Black people can be witches. And I will explain why. But it's not necessarily the word that they would use. Okay, so witch is the European word. In Yoruba, the word is age. Age doesn't mean witch. Age simply means a person who has the characteristics of what we call, in a European term, a witch. But they aren't necessarily, it's not necessarily witch. It is not exclusive to those who practice Wicca. Okay, men can be called witches, but generally they prefer to use the terms like warlock, magician, wizard, or even sorcerer. They want to be fancy. And there are many reasons for this distinction between witches, and some of them are actually valid. I haven't done any research as into the difference between a wizard and a sorcerer and a magician, and why men choose to use the different words. I know there's good reason, but that's not me. So if there's any man on here who is one of those things, who wants to enlighten the masses, but doesn't want to do it by themselves, I will gladly teach a class with you about wizards and sorcerers and all those other things. So reach out to me. We can do that. We can do a collab. Someone said someone who practices ancient magic with the use of ancestors. Okay. So that's another good definition. But anyway, so this video isn't about sorcerers and all that other stuff. However, I do know a few. So if you guys want to teach a class, let me know. So back to witches. They are not inherently evil, which is what Hollywood would have you believe. They are not inherently evil, but they ain't never scared. We'll put it that way. And that's when they're fully in their power and they're fully knowledgeable of what they're doing. There are plenty of witches out here that are running around scary because they don't know what to do. They haven't been trained. They haven't been honing their gifts enough. They don't understand what's happening. And which has been used as a derogatory term, but that's due to fear mongering. It's not, I would say, a miseducation, a misinterpretation, and demonization of what people were naturally given the ability to do. But they aren't necessarily bad people, necessarily. Calling yourself a witch doesn't make you a witch either. And using magic doesn't necessarily make you a witch either. And here's why. Say someone you know starts having a really bad headache, and they don't like the stuff like ibuprofen and Advil. They don't like taking those types of things. So you have a tincture for headaches, right? And you give them the tincture, and it works. That's not really witchcraft. That's resourcefulness. You use your knowledge of herbs and science, because making a tincture really is science. But you used your knowledge of herbs to make something over the course of weeks to solve a very common problem. It wasn't instantaneous. When you make a tincture, it takes a long time to make those. You can't make those in 3 seconds. It takes a while. So that's not really witchcraft, because all you did was put the ingredients together and then give it to someone. But you put the ingredients together knowing what those ingredients are going to do. And this is where a witch, specifically a witch doctor, comes in. So say it's the same situation. Someone has a headache. You give them a tincture. It works for a little while, but it doesn't work permanently. And eventually they get a resistance to it, and it doesn't work at all. Headaches are just as bad. Doctors, real doctors, don't know, medical doctors, I should say, they don't know how to fix it. So someone goes to a witch doctor. A witch doctor, and let me back up a little bit. A priestess, okay? A priestess can look and perhaps maybe use a little bit more magic by enchanting some herbs and doing a couple other things, and maybe using crystals, that type of thing, to try and figure something out. But then again, it's still temporary. They know that there's other ways to do it, but they're not willing to use those methods in order to do it for very good reason. A witch doctor, again, ain't never scared. They're not scared of the entity that is necessary to heal this person. They're not scared of the energies necessary, or the energy that it's going to take from them. You might have to pay them a little bit more, but usually a witch doctor will solve your problem when no one else can, using energies that no one else wants to touch. Sometimes they don't even really have to do anything. You can go to a witch doctor, you can lay down, and they will go like this over you and heal you and be about your business. You can go about your day and you will never have that pain again. That's a witch doctor. A witch doctor doesn't actually need herbs. A witch doctor doesn't need ancestors. A witch doctor doesn't need witches, really. Witches, not just witch doctors. Witches don't need herbs. They don't need candles. They don't need ancestors. Witches don't need Oshun. They don't need Aries. They don't need Papa Legba. Okay, witches can manipulate the energy around them naturally with no help from anything or anyone else. They have trained themselves to control their natural ability to manipulate the energy around them and the matter around them. They can manipulate all the elements at will. They can start fires. They can fill an empty cup with water. They can change their physical appearance. They can create a clearing in the middle of a wooded area. They can move the wind. That is a witch. So when I say we're not witches, it's because 99.9% of us cannot do that. That's the difference between a witch and people who practice ATR. General people who practice ATRs. So they are just gifted to heal. They can do more than heal. I just used healing as an example because, again, we don't want to give into fear mongering. But they can do other stuff should they choose. They don't, I don't want to say they don't have a moral compass, but they don't, they can easily switch that. Have you ever seen Hocus Pocus? Right? Almost everybody has seen Hocus Pocus. Sorry, my screen did some weird. Almost everybody has seen Hocus Pocus, right? In the first movie, Winifred didn't use herbs in most things. When Winifred was tossing Thackeray Binks and what was the other brother's name? Max. When she's tossing them around, she's not using herbs to do that. She's not even using an incantation out of her mouth. She's literally doing this in some cases. This is all she's doing. It's like telekinesis. That's a witch. Somebody who can do telekinesis essentially has witch power because they can manipulate matter and things around them. That is a witch, for lack of a better term. But that's the type of thing that witches can do. Now she has potions and stuff because she needed certain things to be done to, take the life force out of people. So she used things in combination in order to do that. She still has incantations. They say one when they turned Thackeray Binks into a cat in the very beginning of the movie, which is, I have a cup that has that on it. I really love Hocus Pocus. But anyway, in the second one though, they kind of like go back in time and show when Winifred got her powers. And it didn't have anything to do with her ancestors. It didn't have to do with anything in her bloodline. In fact, Mary and Sarah don't even have powers, which you don't really notice in the first movie. But when you see the second movie, they make a point to say it, that the other two sisters don't even have powers. So this is not something that is in her bloodline. This is just who she is as a person. And when we see like Mary and Sarah flying with her, really that's Winifred's power. Winifred she enchanted those items to allow the other two to fly, basically. But they don't have powers. Has anybody seen the second one yet? I don't want to ruin it. I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to say too much more. And then there's other witches in the movie, in the second one, who are nothing like Winifred. And I don't want to give, like I said, I don't want to give too much detail if you've never seen it. But it's a good movie. And if you watch both those movies with a magical mind and your understanding of what we do now, it will give you a new perspective on what witches actually are. But again, it has nothing to do with ancestors. They don't need their ancestors. And they don't have to be white because, they don't even have to have white ancestors because one of the witches is black. She is part white. That's not the point. She's black like me, black, but darker than me. But I'm probably blacker than her. That's another story. Anyway, if you watch with a place from understanding and enlightenment, you will really get a better understanding as to what a witch is. And like I said, personally, my perspective on witches has changed over the last few years a lot. And even in the last few weeks, again, since just my preparation for this, and even my perception of left-handed and right-handed workings has changed. You find I usually don't use the word magic. I don't usually use the word spells because that implies witchcraft, again, which is not technically what we do, but they're buzzwords and they're easy and people understand those words, but that's not technically what we do. But like I have certain gifts that are outside of the normal scope, right? I know people who have certain abilities that are more than just putting herbs together or manifesting through meditations and prayers. Those people, once they come into their power and if they really sit and hone those gifts, could be much stronger. Pretty much anyone has the potential to be a witch because of who we are as beings, right? We were given certain abilities just as humans to have dominion over the earth. that gives us all the ability to be witches and control certain things. Deanna said it was good. I almost cried. It was really good. Did I cry? I didn't cry, but my kids were really into it too. And I have a 14-year-old son, and he said he felt like he liked the second one better than the first one. But anyway, so anyway, back to this. Witches aren't that bad. Most people, more people than what we like to think, have the ability to be witches. It's just a matter of what you want to do. Even in Hocus Pocus, she says, "What a clever little white witch," when the other girl, I can't remember her name, when she uses salt to protect her and the sister. So there are different versions of witches, but calling them evil or saying that they worship the devil and things like that, that's not accurate at all. So anyway, we're going to go to priest now because we're at 30 minutes. So a priest or priestess is a person who is authorized to perform the sacred rites and duties of a religion. So I feel the need to interject something here and say that hoodoo is both a practice and a religion. If you choose not to go that deep, you can practice and be a practitioner, and that's fine. But some choose to go deeper. They choose to train harder, and they become priests or priestesses. Either is fine. Do whatever makes sense according to your path, but it is both. And hoodoo comes from other ATRs. So hoodoo only exists because of slavery. If there was no slavery, I wouldn't say we wouldn't never have hoodoo. However, it's based off the indigenous practices and how they had to manipulate the original practices of wherever they came from, whether it had been Nigeria or Ghana or wherever. They had to manipulate the practice in order to continue to practice it in a new environment. That's what hoodoo is. It's just the blending of things so they can continue it. Belle, you have to remind me who Dr. Fassler was in Princess and the Frog. Which character was that? Because I don't remember. But I think, is that the one that was doing the spells and stuff? That was definitely like a witch type of character. Or sorcerer, I guess. Or warlock. Whatever. That was definitely a witch type of character. Because I believe he could manipulate things without actually using herbs. Like, anybody who can do this and make things happen, that's a witch. And I don't know any of y'all doing this, making shit happen. Like right then and there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the shadow doctor. Yeah. So that's who that was. Yeah. He's more like yeah. They probably said shadow doctor because they didn't want to call him a witch doctor. But yeah, that was more like that. And if anybody calls him Papa Legba, I will elbow you in the face because he absolutely was not Papa Legba or Eshu or any no. Because I heard somebody say that in one of them groups in a post, and I wanted to do that to them and make them evaporate. What is it called in Harry Potter when he does this? Not Expelliarmus. I want to do that. Anyway, back to this. Please repeat that one. Oh my God. Expelliarmus? Yeah. Anyway, a priestess not only goes through life as a practitioner, but goes the extra mile to do exclusive training. So they undergo many ceremonies and initiations. And as a part of their training, they learn how to help those do the same. They often become teachers in some way, either for a congregation or for a select few whom they feel called to pour more energy into. So, Darth thought that was funny too. So a priestess can be of any faith. It doesn't necessarily have to be one particular type of faith. I know we are used to it, hearing it in the Christian way, but it can really apply to anything. And really it can apply to things that don't really have to do with a specific religion. Because as long as they are preaching truth and goodness and things for the betterment of humanity, that is still a priestess. If they are trying to help people, genuinely trying to help people from their heart, doing good things, that is still a priestess. It doesn't have to be a Christian or someone who studied theology or any other thing that we're typically what we associate a priestess with doing. As long as they are doing good work and they are helping the masses, even if the masses is just their city, that is still a priestess. They really do a lot of dirty work, things no one else wants to do. It is not a cakewalk. It is not some cushy life of leisure the way that people think. It can be very draining physically and spiritually. A few months ago, I had this very interesting day, and I journaled about it with the intent to record it, and I didn't record it. So I'm going to read part of that for you now. And I titled this when your purpose isn't easy. But this was like literally months ago. Like, you'll see why here in a second. So I found myself being called on a lot for support. My spirit sister had a death in the family that was tragic. I talked to her and one of her cousins on the phone, and I could feel and see the emotion. Wonderful time to be an empath. I heard the 911 call from the woman who was with Kevin Samuels when he had his medical emergency. That's how old this was, because we didn't know what happened. This was literally like the day after he died. My brother was dealing with some wild stuff, and he had some dreams, and he had called me to get his opinion on those. And somewhere between the FaceTime with the cousin and the 911 call, I felt myself getting kind of like emotional, but not because of anything else that was going on. It was because of some other shit that wasn't tragic. And it was kind of small, to say the least. It was kind of small and petty, but I was like pouting about it. I wasn't pouting about everything else that was going on, even though I felt myself getting emotional a little bit because I'm sad for other people. But no, it was my own shit that had me like real life pouting. And as I'm like going about my day, I felt the need to just like pray, right? Because I've had all this emotional load on me. I'm like, let me just get to my altar and do some prayer. And I was getting more emotional because I kind of had this moment where it's like, I'm having a moment where I'm sad about something, no matter how petty it is. I'm sad about something, and I can't go to anybody because I don't have a me. I don't have a me where I can just go and cry when I want to and vent when I want to. Like, I can send a text like, hey, you busy? And people are always busy. And then I'm the type of person where I don't really like to have people in my business anyway. So I'll only tell somebody so much because I don't want them, because I know too much about you for you to be judging me. So there's that. But I was really just having a moment. And while I was writing this outline, somebody else reached out to me for something else. So it's like a constant thing. You're constantly, as a priestess, you have to constantly do work on yourself for protection because other people are constantly bringing you their stuff. And it's not that it's a bad thing. Like, I don't get upset about it. But if I didn't have the protection that I have, that I've both placed on myself and that my ancestors have given me and my spirits that walk with me, I would lose my freaking mind. Like, priestessing is not easy. It is not for the light of heart. And I used to get angry that I didn't have people that I could vent to and cry to all the time. But then I just realized that that's not my purpose. That my purpose is to be who I am. And if I have to stop looking for myself in other people because no one is going to be me. It's just not going to happen. And so I have to be that for myself. I have to know how to cope with certain things so that I can keep going forward. So I have to priestess to myself sometimes. Has anybody ever had to like priestess? Expected Patronum. Yeah, there we go. Good job, Bill. Um, that's the death one, though, right? Is that the one that kills people? I don't want to use that one. Expelliarmus just makes them go away, don't it? I don't want to kill people. I'm benevolent. I'm a white witch. Just kidding. But anyway, I've had to do things for myself as a priestess just to protect myself from y'all. Not in a bad way, but just to protect myself from the emotions and the things that other people are constantly bringing me. Again, I don't mind. I really don't. But I do have to protect myself. So sometimes protecting myself is not answering my phone for a day. Or if sometimes when y'all see me on Discord and y'all don't see me on Discord for like a day or 2 days, that's self-protection because I have to unplug sometimes from the constant barrage of things going on, because just because I'm not in Discord doesn't mean people aren't pulling me in other places, especially in my personal life, because people now, because I'm so vocal about who I am and what I do, people on like regular people that I know in real life will just randomly text me about some things. And so that is, I'm gonna put this on the screen because I'm not gonna butcher that because I haven't watched Harry Potter in a long time, but I remember those words. But anyway, part of the deal in becoming a spiritual leader is allowing your gifts to be used for the greatest good as much as possible. And you cannot be selfish. And there are so many lost people. And sometimes it's very inconvenient. It's inconvenient as hell, honestly. But that's the job, right? And I've had to stop what I was doing many times to go to someone or help someone work through a situation that they were having. And I am in a place now where I have accepted that as my role in this universe. It is what it is. I know my path and I plan to walk it as gracefully as possible. We'll see how that works. So now we set like some kind of parameters between the three different things and what a priestess actually is. Tell me in the comments, which of the three do you feel you are right now? And if you're brand new, tell me where you feel like you will be in the next 5 years. Like, do you feel like practitioner that's your place? That's where you want to stay? Do you want to be a priestess? Do you have witchy power? And I'm not just talking about witch pussy, because that's different. Because some of us got that too. That was a very interesting live, by the way. Hunsi Say, now Mambo Say, did a live about witch pussy, and that was great. It's on the Black Spectrum Network YouTube. Please go watch it. It was fantastic. I see and feel and receive information just from looking at people. If you stand too close, I also pick up so much information. If I'm on the phone, I get messages to tell people. Then when I help. Okay. So that is one of the clairs. So I am claircognizant. That is the knowing. There's clairaudient. It's the hearing. Clairvoyant is the seeing. There's another clair that I can't think of. There's more clairs, but there we go. Love that energy. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut just in case somebody I know, like personally, is really watching this. I don't need people texting me about what I do in my personal life, but just know, girl saying, I'm falling in all three. I'm so confused. People ask all the time what I am. I don't know. Practitioner and mentorship. Goal is to be a priestess in whatever time frame I'm authorized. Practitioner. Clairsentient. Thank you, Deanna. Clairsentient is the other one. So yeah. And I think to a degree the clairs can be considered a witch because it doesn't make sense in the normal scope of things, right? Because it's not always ancestors. Sometimes it is other entities. So it's not really just within your practice if it's not just your ancestors. It's one thing to hear your ancestors. It's a whole other thing to be able to see fairies and sprites and demons and angels and be able to communicate them just as I'm talking to you guys, right? That's a whole nother level. That to me, that's a witch or warlock or whatever your term of choice would be. Currently a practitioner. So yeah, we've got a plethora of people in there. I know there's some other people in here that are in fact priestesses, but they're quiet. So there's a lot more people in here now. So if you didn't already, say where you're from. If you didn't already say it, we got Mississippi, we got 2 Phillies, we had a New Jersey. I'm in Ohio. Where are y'all from? Before we dive deeper. I definitely done seen some. I bet you have. Arkansas. Okay. So I like to say Arkansas because Kansas is not called Kansas. It's called Kansas. So to me, Arkansas is Arkansas. But that's just me. Iowa, Seattle, New Orleans. Random. One of my friends is Wiccan. She actually said the word warlock is a negative term in their witchy world. Ooh, okay. I'm not going to say that no more. Thank you for educating me. Let me put that on here. New York, and working with some of those fairies because other spirits tolls. Yes. Yeah, working with those spirits definitely can take a toll on you as a person. And there's a Tampa, somebody from Tampa. Wonderful. So yeah, and that's interesting that you said that. I know Darth probably isn't really your first name, and it's funny because we call my youngest child Darth. My youngest child's name is Aveda, and so occasionally we say Darth Vader. And if you've met my young person, or you've seen my young person, or heard stories of my young person, you know why we call that person Darth Vader. But anyway, back to your comment about warlock being kind of like low-key negative. That's interesting because I see people all the time in these little spiritual groups or whatever, and they put that like in their profile. They put warlock in their profile. Okay, Houston, H-Town. So yeah, that's interesting that you say that. And so now if anybody's watching this and you are a warlock, please comment. If you use the word warlock, please explain why it's considered derogatory, because I'm sure you know the reason. But I want to hear why you choose to use it, even though it's considered a negative term. So if you're watching, even if it's I don't care if it's 7 years from now, if you're watching this and you use the term warlock to describe yourself, please expound in these comments because I really want to know. Yes, clairsentient was the one. I'll put this up here. So yeah, if you are a witch, like a witch, one that I described earlier, and you use the term witch and you are just loving your witchiness, in fact, please comment because I want to hear from you. Because I think that's interesting, especially if you could do that thing and like bend fire and stuff, because that's really what witches do. Like witches could like start a fire out of nowhere. They can flood something from nowhere if they wanted to. That's what a witch does. So if you can do things like that, Jesus was a witch. Ooh, I'm gonna put this on the screen just because it's juicy. I've actually heard that many times, that Jesus was in fact a witch. So let's think about this. Raising the dead. without a ceremony. He didn't do anything. He didn't light no candles. I'll tell you in a second, Sugar T. I'll tell you in a second. So he didn't light no candles. He didn't say any prayers. He didn't do this long, drawn out process. This man went into the cave and came out with a whole unalived person that was just walking and alive. Okay? That definitely, that's a witch, man. Water the wine? Taking one basket of fish and bread and feeding like a bazillion people out of this one little basket? That's a witch. I'm just saying. Oh, okay. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna put this up here. They won't talk about how he killed that fig tree just for existing, just gangster. Oh, I don't even know about that one. Oh, we're going to have to talk about that. We are really going to have to talk about that. I want to know about this killing. I'm going to put this link back in the comments too. If you want to join me on screen for anything, for any reason, to say anything, at any later on in the broadcast, that is the link. Click on that. Get yourself ready. Come back to the green room. There is somebody in the green room now. There's 2 people in the green room. This is finna get juicy. Anyway, that's amazing. Hold on, wait, let me highlight this one too. Spit in sand and made blind man see. What? That's crazy. What did King David do? King David was a conjurer. Yeah. And Solomon. We're not even finna mess with Solomon and all his seals that he has. Moses was a root worker. Now listen here. If Moses really took a staff, put it in the middle of the damn sea and parted that bitch, that's a witch. Okay? That's a witch. That is not Ifa. That's not Ifa. That's not hoodoo. That's not even voodoo. That is a witch. Okay? That is a witch. And I have, like I said, I have come to a new understanding of witches recently. And I'm telling y'all right now, most of y'all watching this is not witches. That's right. Not are not. Is not. Y'all is not witches. Stop it. Chill out. Love y'all. So somebody just asked about what a witch was. I think somebody put, it was Moses King Witch. Oh, okay. So warlock is negative as it means oath breaker. And that is why it is considered negative. Got it. Thank you, Christy. And thank you. Who was that? Darth. Darth was the original person, I think, that said that. So thank you guys for adding to this broadcast and giving context. But who was it that asked what a witch was? Was it witch? Because they were a little bit later. But I think I just explained it. A witch doesn't need, okay, here it was Sugar Tea. So a witch doesn't need ancestors. They don't need candles. They don't need herbs. A witch can do this and make things happen. A witch can manipulate the elements without the use of tools if they really wanted to. If they really focus their energy enough. They don't need those things. That is what a witch is. Which is different from a practitioner who, they can enchant herbs if they're doing that at all. But they can put herbs together to make things and to get things done. A conjurer uses herbs and other things. A root worker uses herbs. A root worker gets to the root of a problem, typically by asking questions and doing divinations, and that's how they work a solution or work a person, so to speak. Or they put roots on someone and they work with the roots of things. So like the root of ginger, the ginger root, the roots of trees, they work with roots of both people and herbs. So that's not necessarily a witch because they are still using herbs. if that makes sense. So this was Mark 11:14. Then he said to the tree, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his disciples heard him say it. Oh, this is when he destroyed the fig tree just for existing. I want to know what the precursor was. Like, did the tree scratch him? What happened? Why he just unalive a tree? That's crazy. Let me pull my notes back up. But yes, I have heard that Jesus is a witch, and based on what I have learned about witches, that is entirely a thing. But you could also say, okay, so here's the thing. A lot of people call Iyami. If you know who they are, you know who they are. A lot of people call Iyami witches. But Iyami are Orisha. And so because they are Orisha, they are imbued with power from God. So therefore they are not witches because they are not humans. Okay? Humans can be witches, not demigods and gods and goddesses. Let's kind of make that distinction. The reason why it's derogatory to call one of the Iyami witches, or the Iyami as in general witches, is because they're basically demigods. They're not humans. So to call them human is kind of disrespectful, if that makes sense. Now, to a person, it's fine. But you wouldn't call Ares the witch of war. Like, you wouldn't, because he bewitches people to fight in wars. That's not what you would say about Ares. You wouldn't call him a witch, right? So the same thing with Oshun. Oshun is not a witch. Oshun is Oshun. So there's that distinction. I just wanted to say that. If it's an entity that is considered to be a god, goddess, demigod, Orisha, Loa, those type of entities, they're not witches because they were created to have that power for that specific purpose, and they serve a purpose. That's not a witch. That's not somebody out here just living life and, filling their glass with water so they don't have to get up. That's a witch. I'm just saying. It wasn't fig season and he was hungry. Okay. All right. I like to eat too. Come on, Jesus. All right. So now let's talk about the movement. So over the last 10 to 15 years, there has been a shift, right? And I personally have my own theory on this. So you guys remember how in 2012, that's when the world was supposed to end, right? It was the end of the Mayan calendar and nobody knew what was going to happen. It was very akin to Y2K. If you were alive for that, I know some of you were young. If you were alive and old enough to understand what was happening during Y2K, nobody knew what was going to happen. It was weird, right? Nothing happened. It wasn't even a blip on the screen. However, in 2012, it was more discreet. There was no big cataclysmic event that happened on December 21st, 2012. But there was a change that started to happen earlier in that year and continued throughout the next few years. And I'll explain. So many people remember that frenzy, right? How everybody's now investigating the Mayan calendar and what did the Mayans believe in, what did they think was going to happen, and all this other stuff. And I personally feel like this was the start of the mass shift. So people began to look into other religious practices and civilizations that were not Christian, for one, especially those in South America and Africa. Okay. And then so 8 years later, we had the pandemic. 8 years later was 2020. 8 is a number of balance and also karma. It's mathematics. It is not good or bad. It just is. And we had those 8 years between 2012 and 2020 to get our shit together. And we didn't. And so the universe unleashed the pandemic. Yes, a man ate a bat in China. But however, there was more to it than that. We didn't get our shit together. And 2021 was the 9th year, which was a doozy. Most of us lost things and people that we considered to be important. Many things came to an end. Some of us ascended and transformed, and some of us acted with selfishness and wrath. Okay. If you study cartomancy, numerology, you know what these numbers mean. Because 9, that's what the number 9 means, right? So 2022 was the 10th year, and we either gained some type of self-awareness or we became trapped in our ego. Some people were heavily into their ego at first, got humbled, and kind of, gained a little self-awareness later. And now we have this massive amount of people who are kind of self-aware now, and they know they need to do something different. And here they are trying to get into what they consider their roots to be, which is some version of African spirituality. And then there's a massive amount of white people also trying to get into our groups. So all of our groups on Facebook, all of our BSN groups, I'm in a couple other ones. I'm an admin for a few groups. In all the BSN ones, you have to be of African descent. And you would not believe the amount of non-African people who try to get into these groups and blatantly try to get into these groups. Like, they'll tell you, when the question says, are you of African descent? They put no. Or instead of the hell yes, let my Black ass in on one, it'll say, let me take my non-Black woman ass somewhere else. They will select that and still try to get into the group because they're curious. They want to know what's going on. They want to know why all these Black people are talking about Oshun and who the hell is Papa Legba. And they are curious, which I get. But there's other ways to do that. However, we're not talking about that today. The stuff that we let fly in like 2011 is no longer acceptable at all. Boondocks, if y'all remember the show Boondocks, that show can't even exist now. There's no way we wouldn't let that show. Why do they want to join? I don't understand. I don't know, Darth, honestly. I really don't know. It's daily. It's daily. But anyway. Certain societal norms have since been condemned, especially as it relates to racism and discrimination. And the entire world has basically had an awakening since 2012. That we are living in such a different world, pandemic aside, just in the way that we relate to other people. In some degrees, I feel like we've gotten very soft in things because everybody's offended by everything now. Everybody's offended by everything now. Everything is offensive. Beyonce had to take a lyric out because she said spazzing on that ass because of spastic cerebral palsy. Well, I know people with spastic cerebral palsy, and they didn't care because no one uses that term as a derogatory term for somebody with cerebral palsy. I've literally never seen it. Never. I went to school with people. I have people in my family with cerebral palsy. No one uses that term. But because it's called spastic cerebral palsy, somewhere somebody got in their feelings. And it was mostly in Europe. It's not even in America where she's from. It's in Europe somewhere where they find really weird ways to degrade people who have a handicap that they can't control. That's a whole other issue. So in some ways we've gotten soft because everything's offensive. But in some ways we have gotten stronger because we have united against certain things, especially like racial things that have to do with police in America, right? That before 2012, it was a different situation. And now we are very, very vocal about what's actually going on in our communities. And we have allies now that are on that side of the fence that can be real allies. And that's a completely different environment than what we were in before. So that's great. So let's talk about this awakening as it relates to our people, communities, and our beliefs. And this is where some people may be upset. We'll see what happens. So in recent years, there has been a noticeable shift. And if you are my age or older, you remember the Black Power movement from the 90s. If you are too young, I'm sorry you missed it. It was a great time to be alive and to be Black. It was wonderful. The problem is that everyone wanted to be Egyptian. So heavy Negro spiritual side on that. I digress. The movement moved out of the limelight, but it didn't actually go away. And soon, with the advancement of technology and the internet and the interest in the DNA makeup of individuals, it gave birth to a more sophisticated approach to our people finding out their roots. However, now everyone claims to be a Hebrew Israelite. Another deep, heavy Negro spiritual side. The interest in hoodoo, voodoo, and Orisha is astronomical. And TikTok has people thinking that all people need is the internet and a candle. And I have to, it's so bad now that I have to go into the suburbs to buy candles. Because if I go in my neighborhood, I live in a Black neighborhood. If I go to the Dollar Tree that's right by me, or the two that I have right by me, they don't have the candles in glass because everybody's buying them, because everybody's doing candle magic. So they say. It's not because the lights is turned off. They're doing candle magic. They work in some ashy individual that they have not done a divination on. That's another thing. Or they're trying to tap into their grandmother's energy because she was married to Paw for 50 years, not realizing that one of their elders has a different daddy. Paw got a kid that was raised around the corner, and their grandmother was hiding the family child molester. Is that really the person you want to channel? But go off, whatever. Because they haven't done a divination. And people don't understand the difference between dearly departed ancestors, who are niggas without a body, okay, and elevated ancestors who have been on the other side a long time. There are people who, somebody will die. Somebody could have died last week, and somebody will go to Dollar Tree, buy up all their little white candles, and try to conjure this person with M&Ms and food made from lard to get some answers just because they missed that person. Meanwhile, that person has been dead a week. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know what to do. They are still fully themselves, just without a body. All the same traits and thought processes, just without a body. They can't help you. Stop going to your dearly departed and asking them for help. Let those people rest. They say rest in peace. Let them people have a little bit of peace. Let them get acclimated to the other side before you start doing stuff. I think it's part of the, I know for sure Haitian voodoo. I don't know if it's all sects of voodoo, but they have a whole thing that they do with dearly departed for like the first, I think it's a year and a day. There's things that they do daily to help strengthen that person's spirit and help them acclimate to the other side before they go conjuring them. Please stop that. I see people who comment on the Hebrew Israelites and being one. Yeah. Yeah. People. Yes. They cook. Stop. Okay. There's a whole class on my channel. If you're new and you've never seen anything on my channel before, after this live, go to my channel. One of the very first videos I did was an ancestor veneration video. Go watch that, please. Go watch that, please. Stop feeding them candy and deeply fried food. Just please stop. And also, like I said, stop bothering them when they're freshly dead just because you're sad. They're dead. You don't think they're sad that they're dead? You don't think they need time to process the fact that they are no longer in their body? Give them time. Give them time. Don't conjure them next day. Later on that day. Don't be asking them questions. They don't know. They don't know nothing. Leave them alone for a little while. Pray for their soul. Pray that they find rest. Pray that they find peace. But leave them alone. please leave them alone. I'm gonna put this up there because it's important. Um. Anyway, I yield to the interest of staying on task. Um. You don't know what you're doing. You need an elder to help you on the way. Find a YouTube elder until you can find another one that you trust. Find somebody who has a bunch of videos, who resonates with you, who speaks to your truth and speaks to your spirit, and follow that person. And if they have other people that they bring on and they advise you to follow, look into those people. You can do that when you're all by yourself. There are people who live like in the UK. There's not a hoodoo community. There is, but it's going to be hard to find it. In Iowa, it's probably kind of hard to find a hoodoo community in Iowa. So I get it, right? Find community where you can. Our community, if you want to be part of our community, click the link that's in the description so you can join us. That's still community. We have people who've never been to an in-person event, or they've only been to like one because traveling is a thing. And airline tickets were ridiculous. Not to mention everything that was going on with airlines. And please don't fly Spirit ever. You will become a spirit if you fly Spirit. Okay, please. Anywho, be part of the community. Be part of this community. It's fine. But find a community. Don't be just out here Googling things, listening to Babalawo, Rabbi, Mambo, Google about things that you don't do it. Don't do it. Because I assure you that most of the information on Google is incomplete at best. A good portion of it is wrong. There's a book that we did have in mentorship in the outreach program just to kind of like help. And it was wrong on several accounts about the Orisha. And my godmother was like, ooh, and we kind of stopped using the book because it was just wrong. And she just didn't feel comfortable telling people to use that as a resource when there was some very blatant misinformation in there. So, and it was a published book though, and it's a very popular book. It's also incorrect. And it's by someone who doesn't even practice. So if this person doesn't even practice this thing, why are they writing a book? To make money. That's all I'm gonna say. But we have a whole community here at Black Spectrum Network and the Orisha Hoodoo Institute. Click the link, explore some things, reach out to me. Like I said, my name is the same on everything. Bother me. Go ahead, please. People are in my inbox all the time. It's not gonna bother me. Ashy people are in my inbox sending me pictures and videos of things I didn't ask for. I would much rather have someone ask me spiritual questions. Please bring your spiritual questions to my inbox if you are not part of the regular community. But get part of the community. I'm a moderator on the Melanated Witchcraft Group and the Orisha Hoodoo Coven. So answer the questions. Be Black. Answer the questions. Be one, and we'll get you in, and you can like start to be part of the community and see all the events that we have. If you can come in person, great. If you can't, that's fine. But you can still do readings, be part of the live classes, jump on camera with us, be part of the Zooms, all that stuff where you get to actually interact with us on like a much more personal level. Yes, and please don't fall victim to the scammers. A real priest or priestess is not going to hop in your inbox and say, I've been told by my ancestors to give you a message. Stop it. They haven't. It's lies. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Whatever they have to teach you. And they may actually be readers. And they may have actually been told by their ancestors to give you a message. However, don't do that. Just don't do it. Because everybody that's in our groups that is allowed to read, or if you have like a general question, just like a basic question, just ask the question and we'll tell you. Like, hey, I heard that I can use mint for this. Is this correct? And we will tell you. Certain questions don't require a divination or payment. It's just a question. And that's what community is for. That's what our Facebook groups are for, so that people can ask genuine questions and get real answers and not worried about being scammed all the time, because it's a big thing. But anyway, I digress. My point is, many people are making the shift from Christianity to ATR, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, but we have to be smart. And it's important that before you start to practice, if you are brand new, do some personal development. Okay. This is not a free for all over here. There are still rules and protocols, and there are sacrifices that will have to be made with being a real practitioner. And before you even get to that point, learn how to meditate. Learn how to read tarot or cartomancy or playing cards, something like that. Those are Googleable things. Okay. Tarot is a Googleable thing where you can type that in, and there are plenty of places that will give you definitions for each tarot card. That's Googleable. Now, if you want to get really good and hone your skills, taking a class will definitely help, especially like one of Hunti Soleil's classes. She is amazing. If you ever get to take one of her tarot classes, she's helped me. Like, she's amazing. Okay. But, take the time to invest in yourself in Googleable things like tarot and playing cards. There's books on cartomancy. Those will help you. There's hella books on tarot. Read some damn books. I have one of those videos too. Go watch that video. It's called Read a Damn Book. Do that. Watch it and read. Both of those things. Pay the little $70 to get a DNA test to find out where your ancestors actually are from. Please, please, please. Okay, so the groups are, so one of the groups, if you go to the link that's in the description where it says join the Orisha Hoodoo Coven on Facebook, that'll take you straight to our group. The other group is Melanated Witchcraft for Black Women, I believe. If you go to my profile, again, my name is the same. It's Omowaware Ogbonyomi on Facebook. It's an open profile. If you go to my profile and you go to the groups, you should see that group because I'm a moderator in that group too. If anybody that is in here watching, if you are in the group, if you can go to invite and then copy the link and post it in these comments, that'd be great. Because I don't have the Melanated Witchcraft one on my link tree, but the Orisha Hoodoo Coven is. Anywho, get the DNA test to find out who your ancestors actually are. Research your family history and the indigenous religious practices of your actual ancestors. Before you hop in these groups talking about what hoodoo is and what Papa Legba has done for you and that you're a child of Oya, you should actually know who you are before you do any of those things. But anyway, like I said, don't let Mambo, Babalawo, Rabbi Google get you fucked up here in these spiritual streets full of spirits, goblins, demons, and demigods. But whatever. This is a community practice, and we need to get our community back in order. We must learn the difference between selfishness and self-care. And we have to stop wallowing in the trauma of our ancestors and dearly departed. We have Black billionaires now. So using the excuse of being disenfranchised by white people isn't really an excuse anymore. In some cases, yes, there's a little bit, some people have other things they have to overcome, but we all have things to overcome. My struggle is not more struggle than yours. Your struggle is not more struggle than the person around the corner. The homeless person's struggle isn't more struggly than somebody else, because there are probably things that person did to be homeless. Thank you, Darth. Yeah, it's there. We have to stop trying to compare struggle and stop wallowing in the struggle. Why is this a thing? Why are we trying to attain and see who has the most struggle? Who is the most downtrodden? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace did not die for us to then turn around and become addicts because all we listen to is music that talks about popping perks and drinking lean and all this other stuff. This is just absolutely ridiculous. We are ridiculous, y'all. We as a people are ridiculous, and we have to do better. Better. All of us. All of us. There's real life people out here who are drug addicts, alcoholics, and think it's cute. It's not cute. It was never cute. There's people out here who have no aspirations outside of the streets because that's what they're used to. That's what they think all there is because that's what they listen to. They have no culture whatsoever. Why? We have all this information. We live in the age with the most information. You can literally go to Google, Rabbi Babalawo Mambo Google, and learn about anything. And we're choosing to be willfully ignorant. This is not okay. And we need more people to say that this is not okay and stop letting people just wallow in their shit, because that's not okay. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. But anyway, get a damn mentor. Do a divination. Learn how to do some divination and be better. Do better. Shine brighter. And there are so many people that are coming to hoodoo and voodoo and Ifa because Christianity didn't speak to them, right? That's most of us, right? It didn't. It's wonderful. It's a great time to be part of African spirituality, but we have to be accountable both to the people that we are teaching and to the masses. We can't just let people do, hi Shalana, we can't just let people do whatever willy-nilly and not have any type of accountability. And they don't understand repercussions. Part of the reason why people don't understand that ATR still have rules and protocols, and that there are even rules and protocols, is because they're used to Christianity. In Christianity, we have there's the 10 commandments, right? That's the things you're supposed to do. If you break any of those, all you have to do is confess your sins, apologize, and profess Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And then you can go about your business doing the same stupid bullshit. There's no accountability in Christianity. And so people get to ATR thinking that it's going to be less rules. It's not. That's not how this works. That's not how the universe works. There is universal law, and every ATR believes in universal law, and they will teach you universal law, but you got to stick around, and you have to actually be coachable and teachable, which not all people are. But again, that's another thing. But we have to get out of this mindset that somebody's going to come and save us without any personal accountability. There's people who will not take a raise at work because they will lose their food stamps. But do those food stamps really matter if you're making $60K a year? Will having that government insurance, being on Medicaid, will that matter when you're making $100,000 a year? Does it? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. So why are you holding on to this little $287 a month in food stamps when your raise will give you an extra $1,000 a month? That doesn't make sense. The math is not mathing. Why are you doing all this prosperity work if you're not going to accept the raise, if you're not going to accept the better job because it pays too much and you would get kicked off food stamps? That real life doesn't make sense. That's all I'm saying. And leave those ashy people alone, both in relationships and in real life, but especially in relationships. Stop trying to do love magic on weirdos. Stop it. Stop it. Will you be hurt for a little while? Yes, but you will heal. You're already fucking somebody else. Why are you trying to hold on to this raggedy person over here when you already got 2-3 people over here that you're messing with? Does that person really matter if you got all these people over here? No. Let that ashy person be ashy over there by themselves. Or you're just as ashy, by the way. Just want to clear that up. Um, but like, just think about the healing that you would have if you left that person alone for 6 months. You don't speak to that person. You're by yourself for 6 months. You're not bumping uglies with toxic sewage all the time. And you are just in your own person, doing whatever it is that you do, making money, taking care of your kids if you have them, doing what you need to do to be okay within yourself instead of bringing other people into your shit all the time. That's another thing we have to stop doing. But anyway, as a priestess, we are tasked with directing and redirecting people. And my job is not to coddle you. My job is not to put shit and cover it in sugar and then spoon feed you and rub your back and tell you it's going to be okay while you swallow sugar encrusted shit. That's not my job. That's not my job. My job is to share as much as I can with you, to help you get wherever it is that you are supposed to be, and then hold you to a standard once you have that knowledge to do better. Because if I give you all this knowledge and you squander it, why would I keep going? That doesn't even make sense. You can't even give a $5 love offering, but you want me to give you all my information. That also doesn't make sense. And some of you are going to be like, here we go, talking about money. Yes, we're about to talk about some money because y'all don't understand the exchange of energy. And all these free classes that exist on this channel and on others, and a $5 love offering is too much. But you have 45 hours of training just sitting on this channel. But $5 of a love offering is too much. That's crazy. You could offer me a private yoga class if you teach yoga. If you have products that you sell, you can send me one of your candles or baths or something. That's an exchange of energy. You could share this video or any video on my channel. Hold on, y'all. But yeah, there's many ways to share in the exchange of energy that don't necessarily involve money, but I digress. Sorry. Anyway, y'all have this weird concept of money when it comes to priests and priestesses. I don't know why y'all think we should work for free just because we are priests and priestesses, because the church doesn't work for free. Missionaries don't actually work for free. How do you think they pay their bills? You go to church and you pay tithes. There's people who actually paid that 10% or whatever, and that's astronomical. I'm not asking for 10%. I'm not asking for anything in particular, but I'm just saying, like, y'all have this concept. It's a very colonizer point of view, okay? To pretend like we should spend all this time to help you and you give nothing in return is very colonizer. That is a colonizer mindset. I'm just saying it. That's a colonizer mindset. It's absolutely crazy that you would think that. That's not how any of this works either. But anyway, some of y'all have a close friend or relative that is homeless and you won't even let them shower at your house. You won't buy them, toothpaste or body soap so that they have it wherever it is that they wash up at. You're not going to slide them some money for a 4 for $4 or just buy them the 4 for $4 if you think they're going to use it on drugs. You won't even do that for your family members. I'm just saying, some of you are genuinely selfish. And the truth is, we need more priestesses. We need more priests. We need more people willing to sacrifice for the greater good and hold people accountable. There's a difference between being judgmental and accountability. And Many of you think that those are the same things, and that is something that you need to unlearn. You need to unlearn that shit today. There is a difference between judgment and accountability. Two completely different things. I actually, if you don't want to learn that lesson today, on March 4th, I'm going to do a live stream about spirituality and accountability and obedience. I actually have, I told somebody I was going to chill today, and that didn't happen. Who is Caden? Caden, if you are watching this, I said I was going to chill today, and I didn't. And you were absolutely right that I wasn't. So there's that. Anyway, how are y'all feeling? What questions do you have? My phone is going off. Thank you for the love donations, by the way. My phone has been going off the whole time. But since I just said that, it's gone off a few more times. So thank you for the love donations. So how are y'all feeling? What questions do you have? I said a lot. We've been on here an hour and a half. I wasn't planning for this to be an hour and a half, but listen to this. That offering plate goes around every Sunday. So once again, this is spiritual law. Thank you, Shalana, aka Lana, aka my bae. Oh, I don't know. Wait, I don't know your new name. What's your new name? Because you got initiated this weekend. If you're still on here, post your post your real name now. I don't want to use your slave name. And it's funny you put the comment slave master, but you're using your slave name. What's your new name? Anyway, nobody has any questions? That's crazy. Do y'all want to know what my schedule is for February and March? I already have my classes planned out. Do you guys want to know what they are? They're free too. All my free classes. I don't know if I'm going to do any paid classes anytime soon, but I have like 6 free classes coming up. Do you guys want to know what they are? If you Manze Mapyang, it's got to be Mapyang. Manze Mapyang, is that right? I'm gonna put this on here because we need a little recognition because you got initiation. Congratulations on your initiation. Okay, so if you want to know my schedule, put a white heart. I want to see a bunch of white hearts in the comments. And yes, I wear all white. And yes, it's because my spirits told me to. And yes, it's been since May last year. White hearts, white hearts. I don't see no white hearts yet. Put some white hearts in these comments. I'm not going to tell y'all. I will only tell the people who sent love donations unless I see some white hearts. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yay. White hearts, white hearts. Okay. So let me go to it. I think I'm on the wrong phone. I might be able. Yeah, I can find it on here. I just got a new phone for work, and so I really have 2 phones. Just kidding. I'm not that guy. Thank you for the love donations. My phone keeps going off, and I can't get to the thing I need to get to because they're popping up. Okay, so you ready? So February 4th, we're going to have sexuality and religion. That's going to be the topic for February 4th. Sexuality and religion. February 11th, lovers and friends. Right before, I did this on purpose. This is right before, what's that day called? Valentine's Day. I don't celebrate, but it's right before Valentine's Day. And so I picked the love thing. So sexuality and religion's on the 4th. And then on the 11th, it's lovers and friends. And then on the 18th, it's Enchanting Your Children Part 1. So I actually wrote this class a year ago and I never recorded it. And so now I'm going to actually record it, but it's going to be live so that we can all interact with each other. Now my personal Cash App is going off because people were sending money to my personal one. That's funny. And then February 25th is Enchanting Your Children Part 2, because this is going to be a long class if I tried to keep it. So I'm not going to keep it all in one because it's a lot. Because we really need to do better with our children as Black people too, and I'll talk about that in that class. March 4th is spiritual obedience and accountability. So if y'all thought I was preaching today, just wait till that one. And then March 18th is angel number basics, because angel numbers are like this weird popular thing. And so I'm just going to go over some of those, but that's not until March. February is stacked. Okay. And it gives me 2 weeks to get all these things in order, because it's going to go back to back to back. And honestly, I didn't finish writing this class until earlier today. I've been writing it off and on for like a week, just waiting for Spirit to tell me what to write. So those are the things that are coming up. So I'll say it again. February 4th, sexuality and religion. February 11th, lovers and friends. February 18th, enchanting your children part 1. February 25th, enchanting your children part 2. March 4th, spiritual obedience and accountability. And March 18th is angel number basics. So if you're still watching, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because at some point in the next week, I'm going to make the links for all of these videos. So then you'll be able to go through and kind of like reserve your spot for the ones that you want to see, so that when that class becomes actually live, it'll send you an alert. So yeah, there is that. Let me see. I was just reading I was reading the comments. Okay. So, Darth, I will explain this, because I wear all white because my spirits told me to. There was an initiation that I went through back in May. And before all spiritual ceremonies, we have to wear all white for a couple of days and the day of. And so I started wearing white a couple of days before. And then after the ceremony, my spirits told me to continue to wear all white. And that was, like I said, that was back in May. So I've literally been wearing all white since May. My shoes, my socks, my underwear, my bra, head wraps, with the exception of when I was teaching my chakra series. And then the last live I just did, I was allowed to wear a blue one, but I have to divine first to see if it's okay. But yeah, all white all the time. For now. I think I know when I'm going to finish. Ironically, I had my forecast done with Hunsi Soleil, and I actually entered into a phase at the end of May that will go through April of this year. And so that may be when I get to stop wearing all white. We'll see. I originally had another reason, and Spirit changed its mind and said, no, keep wearing it. And then I had another reason, and they were like, no, forget that reason. That doesn't apply anymore. We're not even thinking about that. You can just let that idea go right now, but keep wearing white though. So, and I'm in the middle of a ritual right now. It's a 33-day ritual. And so it started on the first of the year. So to go through February. So I'm still going to be wearing all white, at least for that. And I'm not even asking for a deviation. I got a deviation for my birthday, but it was the outfit that I got at that ceremony. I was able to wear yellow once as part of ceremony. But yeah, I wear all white all the time. And I don't drink or smoke anymore because my spirits said no. I can only drink as part of ceremony. So when we have to take shots for ceremony, not just to like sit and chill and have a good time, I can't drink socially anymore, which makes me sad because I like the alcohol. But I have a lot of alcoholics in my family. So that's Spirit probably stopping me. Does anybody have any questions? I put the link up there a couple times if you wanted to join me in the back office, but the people that were in the green room, they're not in the green room anymore. Probably because I may have answered their question already. Anybody have any questions? questions, comments, and concerns. How did you feel about this particular live? It's a little longer than I had thought, but how do you feel about it? Did we enjoy it? Are we happy? I'm catching up on the hearts and the congratulations for our new Monze in the audience. Oh, somebody mentioned giving pastor half of what you make to tell you a lie. Ooh, that's the thing. That's the thing for sure. You're welcome, Darth. Put the mic hearts on here. Oops. So the end of the session. I get so sick of women doing crazy spells, child. Me too. Me too. Oh, I love you, deep Shalana. Lana's my bae, y'all. Lana and Belle. They're both in here. Them is bae. Anybody else? All right, y'all. Let's see. This needs to be one of those foundational lectures. Well, thank you. There is on my channel, there's another live called Foundations of Faith that I taught with Hunzi Soleil. Go watch that. Go watch that Foundations of Faith live with Hunzi Soleil and I. It'll get you right together if you haven't already seen it. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Again, click the link in the description to get more information on our community outreach program and our Facebook. And Christy said, this is my first time coming, and I'm so glad I did. Thank you for having this. I'll be back. Yay. Thank you, Christy. More white hearts. I love you guys so much. So this is in regards to that Foundations of Faith video. Not you took a break early from work to watch it, but yeah, it was a good. I love Hunzi Soleil. Like, she is really one of my favorite people, and so is Hugan. So some of you that are new, you may not know who Gonzo is yet, but he is an initiated Haitian voodoo priest, and he will read you for filth. He's read me for filth before. Don't think that he hasn't. He will read everyone for filth, and he says inflammatory stuff, and then he bounces and just disappears from the group for like 3 days and just lets people argue in the comments. It's hilarious, really. You really have to learn how to, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. In certain things. So when we talk about people who, and they're ashy individuals that they're doing love spells on, if it don't apply to you, let it fly. If the whole food stamp thing don't apply to you, let it fly, baby. Just let it fly. If homelessness doesn't apply to you, let it fly, sweetheart. Just let it go. Just absolutely let it go, because it's not that deep. You can't take stuff that personally. Okay? Just saying. Somebody said he's my fave. Listen, I love Hungan. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person. I've met Priestess Peach Blossom in person. And of course, I've met my godmother in person. And that is the true Trinity right there. That is a religious Trinity. If you watch any of those old Sophisticated Sundays with all three of them, they're amazing. And the three of them together is a thing. I had the privilege of watching an eclipse with Priestess Peach Blossom and Priestess Oshun Funke, and it was amazing. And this was during, I think, the initiation I had in May. So yeah, it's amazing. They are really just amazing people. And if you are going to the plant ceremony at the end of this month, I believe all three will be there. I was at the last one. I didn't know Priestess Peach Blossom was going to be there, and I got to see her, and it was great. They're all amazing. And my godmother is so amazing. She's not to be fucked with, but she is so amazing. I love is her. She has like the biggest heart for people, even people who don't deserve it. But yeah, she's amazing. Hugan is amazing. He has been so helpful with me in my personal development, just as a business owner outside of spirituality. He's amazing. Um, so yeah, they're all amazing. Don't ever take anything too personal um, when in regards to them if they seem a little harsh. Uh, it's, but yeah, they're all amazing. So if you can get into one of the mentorship programs, even if it's not um, Arisha Hoodoo is Priestess Oshun Funke, there's a Hoodoo mentorship and there's a Voodoo mentorship. Um, Mambo Say has her own mentorship. Hunsi Soleil has her own mentorship. The Love Goddess has her own mentorship. So there are a lot of versions of mentorship. So if you just get tap in, get plugged in, and figure out where it is you need to be. Get an ancestral life path reading. If you go to blackspectrumnetwork.com, most of those priestesses can do those. Hunti Soleil, like I said, is amazing. I've seen Mambo Say, I think it might say Hunti Soleil, Hunti Say still, but Mambo Say, she got initiated this just past weekend as well. She's ascended. But I've seen her do ancestral life path readings. I've seen the Love Goddess divine for people. And obviously my godmother can divine for people. I don't know if Hugan still does ancestral life path readings, but it's a system that he created. It's amazing. It's very, very helpful. So get those. Get one of those. You can also go to voodooinstitute.com, I think. I think the site is fixed. There was some issues. I think it's fixed. Hunti LaBella Venus. I always try to add another L, Allah, in there. But she's amazing too. Do you have to be an ATR to start candle magic? Not necessarily, but you need to know how to divine. You need to have some type of divination tool. So it could be tarot cards, it could be playing cards, it could be a pendulum if you know how to use your pendulum properly and it doesn't lie to you. Pennies, cowrie shells. There's many different versions of divination, but you need to be able to divine first because you need to make sure that you have authorization from your ancestors and you need to make sure that you've done things properly. But on my channel, there is a series called About Candle Magic that will help you for sure, even if you're not a part of a community, so to speak. You could watch, if you watch the things on my channel, you can learn how to do pretty much anything because I just put the foundations out there, and then as you practice, you can expound upon those things, even if you don't necessarily have a mentor. But I'm going to tell you to divine first every single time. Do a divination. Get some tarot cards. And even if you don't know how to do it intuitively, that's okay. I do have a class on tarot, though. It's on this channel. But if you don't know how to do it intuitively, that's okay. Read the damn book. I still read my book. I'm not even going to pretend to lie to y'all. I think they're over on my altar. I still read the book. And I want to make sure that I'm correct. Now, I can't do it intuitively, but I still double check with the book sometimes to make sure that I understood the message, especially if I pull a card and I don't really know how that card makes sense with everything else, then I'm definitely going to read the book. Read the book. There is no shame in using the book that comes with your cards. Use the book. Almost everything online is going to tell you how to read using the Rider-Waite tarot. That's one of the most common. I do recommend that everyone gets that just so that you can learn the basics of it. But the tarot deck I use is not the Rider-Waite, and it's not even based in Rider-Waite. So there's that. So sometimes my definitions or my readings are a little bit different than what someone else would read just because my cards are different. And my cards have stories with all of them, like in-depth stories. And so I can intuitively read based on the story because of the cards. But learn how to divine for yourself. So like I said, if you have to read the book the first few times, do it. I don't care if you have to read the book for 2 years. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. It's better than nothing. But you have to learn how to interpret the messages. But like I said, I have a video on tarot. I think there's 2 videos on tarot. There's a quick one that's like 20 minutes, and then there's like a live that I did on tarot that can kind of help you. But they're both on my channel. If that so interests you. I'm not going to be doing cartomancy because my godmother teaches cartomancy. And those classes aren't free. And so I'm not going to be giving that information out for free. My godmother does not read tarot. So I have tarot classes because I'm respectful of my elders. Anything else? Anything else? These comments are really funny. All right, y'all. Well, thank you again for joining me. We've got it under 2 hours. We've got to end it before it hits 2 hours. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your love donations. My phone was over here just a buzzing. My watch was going off, all types of things. So thank you very, very much. Again, click the link in the description to keep in touch. Make sure you like and subscribe. Black Spectrum Network is the bigger parent company. That YouTube is great. And my godmother is Priestess Oshun Funke. It's Osun, no H. And Funke is Funke. If you type both those in, you should be able to find their channels and subscribe to their channels too, because again, they are amazing. They share different information than me, but it's all good information. So go like and subscribe them as well. And that's all, guys. Thank you so much. And remember, keep your head so high you can't even see the haters. Peace. Love you.